together and have the story told the way I believe it should be told, to make sure all the stories are included from across the country. And so at that, when we get closer to completion, either of the first 5 or all 10, then we will take it to a distribution partner. And I believe right now, with all the interest in women's basketball and women's sports, we're going to have people lined up to want to show this, because it's really high quality and the stories are amazing. And so we don't know the distribution partner yet, but if you follow us on social media, or you go to the website, ifnotforthem.com, or any of the social media platforms, we'll keep people updated as we make progress, and you'll hear it if you're following us, when and where it will be distributed.
Yeah, it's a nice, easy website with an easy donate now button on it. So, I mean, it's very easy to get involved with it. And I'm telling you what, the quality of the project is absolutely ESPN worthy. I've seen multiple 30 for 30s that don't stack up in any way to the product that you're putting out. And the stories are just fascinating. I don't think people really realize, you talked about your own experience with the disappointment of playing, just before a handful of people. Well, at least you got to play. I mean, and a lot of these ladies tell stories that are just remarkable about, fighting for just an opportunity to get out there and play. And their stories are compelling. Basketball coaches by nature, I think, are the best storytellers maybe in sports. I don't know what it is about them, their playing background, their self-confidence, whatever, but it really is a remarkable project. You should be proud of the quality of it. I know you must be, and to do it the right way and not just try to get something out there.
Yeah, thank you. I am so proud, and it's just really the stories that I've collected. You're right, the women themselves, the men that supported them, that shared their stories with us. I mean, I have so much content. I have probably, it's hard to even estimate how many hours, 200 to 300 hours of content of these incredible stories. And now it's fine tuning them. It's finding the right sound bites and the right archive videos and photos to help really tell the stories in an interesting and compelling way that draws people in and helps them understand what it took to have what we do today in women's sports. And it's really remarkable. I mean, I always felt I was a bit of a basketball historian. I even, when I was a senior in high school, I wrote a paper on the history of women's basketball. There wasn't a lot of history at that point. And, so I was always interested. But when I started having these conversations and starting doing my research and doing the interviews, I just found out that there are so many amazing people that went into fighting the battles so that we could have women's sports, college level, high school level, that nobody even knows about. Nobody ever thanks. Nobody ever celebrates them. And, after Title IX was passed, there was this time period that the NCAA was not interested in women's sports at all. And they weren't interested in governing them or holding championships. So a group of women leaders had to form their own organization, the AIAW, to be able to build up college women's sports and nurture it and put a rule structure and national championship structure and all of this. And so we wouldn't even have collegiate women's sports if those women hadn't done that. And the fact that they did it and built it up to the point where then the NCAA was interested and then took over, that's a big part of my story as well. But what I found when I was talking to those women of the 70s, of that AIAW era that fought so many battles, they would all say, we did so much to grow the game at that time, but if it hadn't been for those in the 50s and 60s that either did have opportunities or the ones that didn't have opportunities that really wanted them and fought for them, we wouldn't have been where we were in the 70s. And that's really how the "If Not For Them" name came about. It just resonated with me. Those women kept saying, if not for them, we wouldn't have had what we did even in the 70s. We wouldn't have been ready for Title IX. We wouldn't have been ready to build this AIAW organization. if not for those in the 50s and 60s before that kind of built the way. And so that's why this 10 episode docuseries is this story arc from really the 1950s up until the early 80s when the NCAA took over. And we'll even take, in the first episode, we even go back to the very invention of basketball by James Naismith and how Senda Berenson took from him and they grew and then was banned across the country in the 20s. And only certain people across the country even got a chance to play in the 30s and 40s and 50s. It's really fascinating that I didn't know anything about it until I really started digging in. And that's why I think it's going to be really interesting for people because these stories have never been told. And I'm honored to be able to share these incredible stories for historical and for entertainment and educational purposes so that we have them for years to come.
Well, I'd use the word culmination, but that means you're done, as far as your career and everything else is concerned. But all the things you've done have led to this point. And, in many ways, you're a trailblazer yourself. And telling the stories of these trailblazers is incredibly fitting for you. You must look back and just be proud of the whole darn thing. You got a long time to go ahead. And I know over the last few years personally, you've had the chance to share it with somebody special. How'd you meet your wife?
Oh, well, Capri and I have been friends for a long time, and we just we have similar backgrounds, and we just were able to meet through a friend group here in Kansas City, and just had so much in common and so much that we enjoyed doing together that about 6.5 years ago or so, we got together, and we've been married for the last 4 years. And, I've raised some kids through foster care and other means myself, and she has a couple of kids. So we have this blended family and a senior in high school going off to play football at Colorado State now. And it's a really exciting time. And she's been so supportive of what I'm doing with this docuseries. It's told a lot of my energy, and all the fundraising of it has it's so important to me, and she's been so supportive of it. And it's taken longer than I expected to be able to do this, but to do it right, I think it's really important to make sure that everything is done for history's sake, that it's all documented well, and that it's shown in the best quality that we can, and it's just done first and top notch. And so it's taking a few years, but it will be spectacular when it's all finished.
And for now, it's the culmination of something. You must look back at all of this and be very proud. You set out to be a high school coach and branched out in many different directions, and really they all kind of worked out, Brenda.
It's pretty amazing. It's been a blessed and charmed life in a lot of ways. I've always, as I said, when I was young, I loved sports and I always wanted to be a part of it. And it's blessed me in so many ways to be able to play in high school and in college and coach at the college level, and then be a broadcaster now. This will be my 30th year that I'm broadcasting. I mean, I've just had an incredible journey. And then now it is kind of a culmination, this project of at least my career, of just all those things kind of tied together, and being able to pay homage to all these incredible people that built the way for us in women's sports, and my way of thanking them and honoring them and telling those stories. And this, who knows? This may spin off, and this series will finish up as the early '80s when the NCAA takes over. But I don't think the stories of the '80s and the '90s have been well documented and told either. So there's a possibility that this project, could go on depending on how it's received and how we grow it. So yeah, I'm extremely proud to be a part of it, to share it with people. I did want to mention that if people are interested in supporting it, or even just seeing the preview of all 10 of the episodes, we put together a sneak preview that you watched, Danny. it's a 5-minute preview of each of the 10 episodes. And if somebody makes a donation, a donation to our nonprofit initiative through the If Not For Them website, we will send a private link so you can see the 1-hour preview of this incredible docuseries that we're putting together. So, any amount is welcome, and I would just encourage people to do that just to get a chance to see the preview, because it'll probably be at least a year, maybe 2, when the full docuseries comes out. But if you want to see the preview that's really special, just come join our team and make a donation on the website, whatever amount, and we'll be glad to send you a link to it.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, with 8 convenient locations in the Kansas City metro. Dr. Brad Woodall and his friendly team will improve your health and outlook with every visit. Find out more at asfca.com/Danny.